The challenge issued. The massive view screen aboard the Galactic Council's flagship Harmony flickered to life, revealing a sea of alien faces. Some were familiar to Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth vessel Intrepid, while others were so bizarre she couldn't even guess at their evolutionary path. But all wore the same expression of barely concealed disdain mixed with curiosity. Representatives of Earth, the Council Elder, a towering creature with iridescent scales and multiple eye stalks, began. "We have summoned you here to address a matter of utmost importance." Elena exchanged a glance with her first officer, Commander Takashi Himura. They'd been expecting this meeting for weeks, ever since humanity had petitioned for full membership in the Galactic Council. What they hadn't expected was the palpable tension in the air. "The Council has reviewed your application," the Elder continued, "and we find ourselves concerned." "Concerned, Elder?" Elena kept her voice neutral. "I assure you, Earth has met all the technological and cultural benchmarks for membership." A ripple of what might have been laughter or disgust ran through the assembled aliens. The Elder's eye stalks swiveled, focusing intently on Elena. "It is not your achievements that concern us, Captain. It is your very nature. You see, in all our millennia of exploration, we have never encountered a species quite like yours." Takashi leaned in, whispering, "I don't like where this is going, Cap." Elena nodded almost imperceptibly. She'd faced enough hostile negotiations to recognize the build-up to an unpleasant revelation. "Please elaborate, Elder," she said aloud. The view screen split, displaying images of Earth, thunderstorms lashing coastlines, volcanoes spewing rivers of lava, tornadoes tearing across plains, earthquakes toppling cities. "Your homeworld," the Elder explained, "is what we classify as a death world, a planet so inherently hostile to life that the very fact your species evolved there defies belief. And yet, not only did you survive, you thrived." More images flashed across the screen. Humans scaling sheer cliff faces, diving into ocean depths, venturing into frozen wastelands and scorching deserts. "Your kind seeks out danger," another council member, a being composed entirely of shimmering energy, chimed in. "You challenge yourselves against the very forces that should, by all rights, destroy you. It is unsettling." Elena felt a swell of pride, tempered by a growing realization of just how alien they must seem to these races. "With respect, Council, our drive to explore and push boundaries is what brought us to the stars. It's fundamental to who we are as a species." "Precisely our concern, Captain," the Elder said. "How can we be certain that this recklessness won't endanger other races, that you won't drag the rest of the galaxy into conflicts born from your inability to recognize true danger?" The implications hit Elena like a physical blow. They weren't just questioning Earth's readiness. They were suggesting humans might be too dangerous to allow into the galactic community. "What would you have us do?" she asked, fighting to keep the anger from her voice. "Change our very nature." The Elder's eye stalks drooped slightly. A gesture Elena had learned indicated something between sympathy and resignation. "We propose a test, Captain Reyes. A survival challenge designed to push the limits of any sentient species. If your crew can demonstrate that your apparent disregard for danger is tempered by genuine survival skills and wisdom, we will reconsider your application." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled aliens. Elena glanced at Takashi, saw the same mix of indignation and determination she felt reflected in his eyes. "And if we refuse this test?" she asked, already knowing the answer. "Then Earth's application will be summarily rejected," the Elder said, "and restrictions may be placed on your future interactions with Council races." Elena took a deep breath, weighing their options. Refuse, and humanity would be cut off from the galactic community, possibly for generations. Accept, and they'd be playing directly into the Council's preconceptions about human recklessness. But it would also give them a chance to prove themselves. "We accept your challenge, Elder," she said firmly. "On one condition." The aliens' eye stalks quivered with what might have been surprise. And that is, whatever environment you create for this test, a team of council observers participates alongside my crew. Not just watching from safety, but experiencing the challenges firsthand. A hush fell over the assembled aliens. The Elder's scales shifted through a kaleidoscope of colors before settling on a deep, thoughtful blue. An interesting proposal, Captain, it said finally. And a brave one. Very well. We shall assemble a team of volunteers to accompany your crew. The test will begin in 3 standard cycles. I suggest you use that time to prepare yourselves. As the transmission ended, Takashi turned to Elena. Cap, are you sure about this? We have no idea what kind of death trap they're going to throw us into. Elena allowed herself a grim smile. That's exactly the point, Commander. They think we're reckless thrill seekers with no real survival skills. Time to show them what humans are really made of. She turned to address the bridge crew, all of whom had been listening intently to the exchange. All right, people. We've got 3 days to prepare for the unknown. I want every scrap of data we have on Council species, physiologies, and environmental tolerances. We're going to anticipate every nasty surprise they might throw at us and come up with countermeasures. As her crew sprang into action, Elena felt a mix of anticipation and resolve. The Council thought they were testing humanity's fitness for membership. In reality, this challenge would reveal far more about the aliens' own limitations and preconceptions. 3 days, she murmured to herself. 3 days to plan how to survive the unsurvivable. And teach a few smug aliens a lesson in the process. Little did Elena know that those 3 days would be the calm before a storm that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity, and humanity's understanding of itself. Part 2. Unexpected preparations. The next 3 days aboard the Intrepid were a whirlwind of activity. Captain Elena Reyes had assembled a diverse team for the Council's challenge. Herself, Commander Takashi Himura, Dr. Amelia Chen, xenobiologist, Lieutenant Zara Okafor, security specialist, and Ensign Dmitry Volkov, engineering prodigy. Each brought unique skills and perspectives that Elena hoped would give them an edge in whatever hellscape the Council had cooked up. As the team pored over data and ran simulations, a clearer picture of their potential challenges emerged. The Council races, it seemed, had a radically different idea of what constituted danger compared to humans. Look at this, Dr. Chen said, gesturing to a holographic display. According to our data, most Council species consider gravity fluctuations of more than 0.2 g to be potentially lethal. We regularly subject ourselves to far greater forces in basic training. Zara snorted. No wonder they think we're crazy. Bet they'd have a heart attack, or whatever passes for one, if they saw an ordinary roller coaster. It's not just G-forces, Takashi added. Temperature extremes, atmospheric pressure variations, even exposure to moderate levels of background radiation. All things we've adapted to deal with are apparently terrifying to them. Elena nodded, a plan forming in her mind. So we're not just preparing for physical challenges. We need to anticipate their psychological reactions. The observers they're sending with us might panic in situations we consider routine. Great, Dmitry grumbled. So not only do we have to survive whatever death trap they've built, but we've got to babysit a bunch of terrified aliens while we do it. Look at it this way, Elena said with a wry smile. It's an opportunity to showcase more than just our physical resilience. We'll demonstrate our adaptability, our problem-solving skills, and our ability to function as a team under pressure. The crew nodded, determination replacing their earlier frustration. They spent the next hours devising equipment and strategies not just for their own survival, but for protecting and reassuring their alien observers. As the deadline approached, Elena called a final briefing. All right, team. We've prepared as best we can, but let's face it, we're going in blind. Whatever they throw at us, remember, we're not just fighting for our own lives or even Earth's membership. We're representing humanity to a galaxy that fundamentally misunderstands us. Let's show them what we're really made of. The team's mood was somber but resolute as they made their way to the shuttle bay. There, they found an unexpected sight. A group of aliens, each species more bizarre than the last, clustered nervously around a sleek, unfamiliar craft. Captain Reyes, the tallest of the aliens, a willowy being with crystalline skin, stepped forward. "I am Sinra, lead observer for the Council. These are my colleagues. We will be accompanying you on this expedition." Elena noted the tremor in Sinra's voice, the way the other aliens seemed to huddle together for comfort. These weren't seasoned explorers or hardened survivors. They were academics, bureaucrats, the alien equivalent of clipboard-wielding officials sent to evaluate a dangerous experiment from a safe distance. Except this time, there would be no safe distance. "Welcome aboard, Sinra," Elena said, injecting warmth into her tone. "We're honored to have you with us. I assume that craft is our ride." The crystalline alien nodded. "It is a standard emergency evacuation vehicle, modified for this exercise. It will transport us to the testing grounds and serve as a base of operations and emergency shelter." Elena's team exchanged glances. Emergency evacuation vehicle didn't exactly inspire confidence in the Council's faith in their survival. "Excellent," Elena said brightly, ignoring the aliens' obvious discomfort. "Shall we board and get this adventure started?" As they filed into the craft, Elena pulled Takashi aside. "Change of plans," she whispered. "Our primary mission is no longer just survival. It's making sure these observers not only survive, but come to understand us in the process." Takashi nodded, a glint of understanding in his eyes. "You're thinking we turn this whole ordeal into a teaching moment?" "Exactly. We're going to give them the safest, most enlightening brush with danger they've ever experienced." Elena's grin was equal parts determination and mischief. "By the time we're done, they'll either think we're the most brilliant species in the galaxy, or the most insane," Takashi finished. "Either way," Elena said as they boarded, "they'll never look at humans the same way again." As the craft's doors sealed shut and the engines hummed to life, Elena felt a surge of excitement. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew her team was ready. More than that, she sensed an opportunity, not just to prove humanity's worth, but to forge a deeper understanding between species. The vessel shuddered slightly as it lifted off, carrying its mixed crew of humans and aliens towards an unknown destination. Elena caught the eye of Sinra, whose crystalline form seemed to vibrate with nervous energy. "Relax," she said softly. "This is going to be an experience none of us will ever forget." As they accelerated away from the Intrepid, Elena couldn't help but wonder, what exactly had the Council prepared for them? And how would their alien observers react when they discovered that humanity's apparent recklessness was, in fact, a well-honed survival strategy? The answers, she knew, would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what it truly meant to be human. And Elena Reyes, along with her intrepid crew, was more than ready for the challenge. Into the crucible, the Council's transport ship emerged from FTL with a jolt that sent several of the alien observers stumbling. Captain Elena Reyes steadied herself against a bulkhead, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. Before them loomed a planet, if you could call it that. It was a roiling mass of angry storm clouds, punctuated by flashes of lightning that illuminated glimpses of a tortured landscape below. Massive volcanic eruptions sent plumes of ash and fire into the upper atmosphere, while the planet's surface seemed to ripple and shift as if alive. "By the cosmic egg," Shinra whispered, their crystalline form vibrating with fear. "Surely they don't expect us to land on that." "That death trap," Lieutenant Zara Okafor finished, a hint of excitement in her voice. "Looks like a fun weekend getaway to me, Cap." Elena shot Zara a warning glance before addressing the increasingly panicked alien observers. "I assure you all, we've trained for far worse conditions. This is well within our capabilities to handle safely." It wasn't entirely a lie. While the planet below was certainly extreme, Alina's team had indeed run simulations for even more hellish environments. The real challenge would be keeping their alien companions from falling apart before they even touched down. As if on cue, a transmission crackled through the ship's speakers. The voice of the Galactic Council Elder filled the cabin. "Greetings, brave volunteers. Welcome to Test World XJ-27, a planet we've specifically engineered to replicate some of the most hostile conditions found throughout the galaxy. Your mission is simple: survive for one standard week while completing a series of objectives. The first of these objectives will be revealed once you've landed." There was a pause, and Alina could have sworn she heard something like concern in the Elder's voice as it continued. We wish you the best of luck. May your gods, if you have them, watch over you." The transmission cut off, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. "Well," Commander Takashi Himura said with forced cheerfulness, "they certainly know how to make a girl feel welcome, don't they?" Alina nodded, her mind already racing through potential strategies. "All right, team. We stick to the plan. Our primary objective is survival. Not just ours, but our observers as well. Dimitri, I want you on life support systems the moment we touch down. Amelia, start environmental analysis as soon as we have data. Zara, perimeter security. Takashi, you're with me on observer duty." As her crew acknowledged their orders, Alina turned to the huddled group of aliens. "I know this looks intimidating, but I promise you, we've got this under control. Stay close, follow our instructions, and we'll all get through this together." The ship began its descent, buffeted by violent winds and electrical discharges that made the hull creak ominously. Alina watched as Sinra's crystalline body began to fracture slightly under the stress. "Hey," she said softly, placing a reassuring hand on the alien's shoulder. "Deep breaths, or whatever your species does to calm down. We're going to be fine." Shinra's faceted eyes met Alina's. How can you be so certain? This planet, it defies all logic. No life should be able to exist in such conditions." Alina smiled. "That's the thing about humans, Sinra. We have a habit of defying logic and thriving where we shouldn't. Just watch." The ship shuddered as it broke through the lower atmosphere, its sensors struggling to find a safe landing zone amidst the chaos. Finally, with a bone-jarring thud, they touched down on a rocky plain surrounded by towering cliffs of some strange, shifting material. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of indeterminate gender," Dmitri called out from the pilot's seat, "welcome to hell. Please keep your appendages inside the vehicle until the captain gives the all-clear." Alina ran a quick systems check, confirming that the ship's shielding was holding against the planet's hostile environment. "All right, people. Let's see what we're dealing with. Amelia, what have you got?" Dr. Chen's fingers flew over her console as she analyzed the incoming data. "It's fascinating, Captain. The atmosphere is a toxic soup of gases that would be lethal to most carbon-based life forms. The planet's crust seems to be in a constant state of flux due to extreme tectonic activity. And the electromagnetic interference is off the charts. It's a miracle our systems are functioning at all." "Sounds like a typical Tuesday back home," Zora quipped, though Alina noticed her hand tighten on her weapon. One of the alien observers, a gelatinous being that had introduced itself as Blob, the closest approximation, into the crucible. Here's the next portion of the story. One of the alien observers, a gelatinous being that had introduced itself as Blob, the closest approximation to its actual name in human language, quivered violently. This is madness. We cannot possibly survive out there." Alina's voice cut through the rising panic. "We can, and we will. Remember, this planet was engineered. It's meant to challenge us, not kill us outright. Now let's see what our first objective is, shall we?" As if on cue, a holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the ship's cabin. The image showed a pulsating energy signature about 5 kilometers from their landing site. The Council Elder's voice crackled through once more. Your first task is to reach the beacon and retrieve the data crystal contained within. The crystal will provide information for your next objective. You have 12 standard hours to complete this task. As the transmission faded, Alina turned to her team, a glint of determination in her eyes. All right, folks. Time to show the galaxy what humans are made of. Suits on. Gear up. We move out in 10 minutes. The next few minutes were a flurry of activity as the human crew donned their environmental suits, robust exoskeletons designed to withstand extreme conditions. The alien observers watched in a mix of awe and trepidation as the humans efficiently checked each other's seals and systems. What about us? Shinrei asked, their crystalline forms still vibrating with nervous energy. We were not prepared for such extreme measures. Elena gestured to a set of shimmering force field generators. These personal shields should protect you from the worst of the environment. They're not as robust as our suits, so you'll need to stay close to us at all times. Any sign of shield failure, and we head straight back to the ship. No heroics. Understood. The aliens nodded, some more reluctantly than others, as they activated their shields. As the ship's airlock cycled open, the full fury of XJ-27 hit them like a physical blow. Howling winds carried particles that pinged off their protective gear, while the ground beneath their feet trembled ominously. Looks like we landed on a relatively stable patch, Takashi shouted over the comm system. But I wouldn't count on it staying that way for long. Elena nodded, her eyes already scanning the horizon for the best path forward. All right, team. Diamond formation. Observers in the center. Zara, you've got point. Dimitri, bring up the rear and keep an eye on our alien friend's shield status. Move out. As they set off across the hellish landscape, Elena couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Her team moved with practiced efficiency, adapting quickly to the planet's challenges. They helped the observers navigate particularly treacherous terrain, all while maintaining a steady pace towards their objective. About halfway to the beacon, disaster struck. A massive tremor shook the ground, opening a chasm directly in their path. As they scrambled for stable footing, one of the alien observers, a tall, spindly being with multiple eye stalks, lost its balance and tumbled towards the widening crack. Without hesitation, Zora launched herself forward, firing a grappling line from her suit. The line wrapped around the alien's midsection, arresting its fall mere meters from the chasm's edge. With a grunt of effort, Zora hauled the observer back to safety. You saved me," the alien gasped, its eye stalks swiveling in disbelief. Zara shrugged, her voice nonchalant despite the adrenaline surely coursing through her system. "All in a day's work. You okay to keep moving?" The observer nodded, a new respect evident in its posture. As they regrouped, Elena noticed a change in the alien's demeanor. The fear was still there, but it was tempered now by something else: curiosity and perhaps a grudging admiration. "Impressive reflexes, Lieutenant," Shinra commented. But surely such reckless action wasn't necessary. The Council would have understood if we lost an observer to the planet's hostility. Elena interjected before Zara could respond. "That's not how we operate, Shinra. Every life is valuable, and we leave no one behind. It's not recklessness. It's one of our core principles." The crystalline being seemed to ponder this as they resumed their journey. The rest of the trek was no less harrowing, with acid rain showers, pockets of noxious gas, and treacherous terrain testing their resolve at every turn. But Elena's team rose to each challenge, their teamwork and quick thinking keeping everyone safe. As they finally approached the pulsating energy signature of the beacon, Elena allowed herself a small smile. They were battered, exhausted, and covered in the grime of an alien hell world. But they were all alive, humans and observers alike. "All right, people," she called out. "Let's see what prize awaits us, shall we?" As Dmitri worked to access the beacon's data crystal, Elena caught Sinra's gaze. The alien's crystalline form seemed to shine with a new light, one that looked suspiciously like respect. "Perhaps," Chinra said softly, "we have misjudged your species, Captain Reyes." Elena's reply was cut short as the beacon suddenly pulsed with blinding light. As their vision cleared, a new holographic message shimmered before them, outlining their next, even more daunting challenge. The true test, it seemed, was only just beginning. Turning the tables. The holographic message from the beacon flickered ominously in the harsh atmosphere of XJ-27. Captain Elena Reyes felt her team and the alien observers draw closer, all eyes fixed on the shimmering text. "Congratulations on completing your first task," the message read. "Your next objective is to scale Mount Impossibility and retrieve the artifact at its peak. You have 48 standard hours. Be warned, the mountain is geologically unstable and prone to sudden violent eruptions. Good luck." As the message faded, a map appeared, showing their current location and the looming silhouette of what could only be Mount Impossibility. Even from a distance, Elena could see why it earned its name. The mountain seemed to defy physics, its slopes changing angle and composition as they watched. "Well," Dmitri muttered, "they certainly have a flair for the dramatic, don't they?" Elena turned to her team, noting the mix of determination and exhaustion on their faces. The alien observers looked even worse, their various physiologies clearly struggling with the planet's hostile environment, despite their protective shields. "All right, folks," Elena said, her voice steady and reassuring. "We've got a new challenge, but our primary mission hasn't changed. We stick together, we watch out for each other, and we make it through this." Shinra, the crystalline alien, stepped forward. "Captain Rice, I feel compelled to point out the improbability of our success. This task seems designed to be impossible." Elena couldn't help but smile. "Shinra, if there's one thing you should know about humans by now, it's that we don't believe in impossible. We just haven't found the right approach yet." With that, Elena gathered her team for a quick strategy session. As they discussed potential routes and equipment needs, she noticed the alien observers listening intently, their earlier fear giving way to curiosity. "Dr. Chen," Elena said, "what can you tell us about the mountain's composition?" Amelia studied her readings. "It's unlike anything I've ever seen, Captain. The molecular structure is in constant flux, almost as if the mountain is alive." This revelation sent a ripple of unease through the group, but Elena's mind was already racing with possibilities. "Alive, you say? Interesting. Dmitri, any ideas on how we might use that to our advantage?" The young engineer's eyes lit up. "If it's responding to stimuli, we might be able to influence its shape, maybe create our own path to the top." Elena nodded, a plan forming. "Good thinking. Zara, what's our equipment situation?" The security officer ran through their inventory. "We've got enough climbing gear for the team, some sonic resonators we could repurpose. And oh, this is interesting. The ship's fabricator produced a batch of what it calls adaptive molecular bonding agents before we landed. Might come in handy." "Excellent," Elena said. "All right, team. Here's the plan. We're going to treat this mountain not as an obstacle, but as a puzzle. We'll use the sonic resonators to test its responses, the bonding agents to create temporary stable paths, and our own ingenuity to adapt as we go." She turned to the alien observers. "I know this sounds crazy, but I need you to trust us. Your insights could be invaluable. You see the universe differently than we do. That perspective might just save all our lives." The observers exchanged glances, a mix of fear and intrigue on their alien faces. Finally, Blob, the gelatinous being, spoke up. We will do our best to assist, Captain Reyes." With their plan set, the team began their ascent of Mount Impossibility. The going was tough from the start. The mountain's surface shifted unpredictably, sometimes becoming as smooth as glass, other times breaking into jagged spires. But Elena's team proved their worth with every step. Dmitri used the sonic resonators to map safe routes, the vibrations sometimes causing the mountain to form crude steps or handholds. Zara's expert use of their climbing gear kept everyone secure during the most treacherous parts of the climb. To Elena's surprise and delight, the alien observers began to contribute as well. Sinra's crystalline body proved adept at refracting light, allowing them to spot dangerous shifts in the mountain's structure before they occurred. Blob's gelatinous form could seep into cracks, testing the stability of potential paths. As they climbed higher, the mountain's impossible nature became even more apparent. Gravity seemed to shift randomly. Sections of rock would suddenly turn gaseous, and at one point they found themselves climbing through what appeared to be a liquid waterfall flowing upwards. Through it all, Elena's team persevered, their human adaptability and problem-solving skills shining through. They used the molecular bonding agents to create bridges across impossible gaps, repurposed their equipment in ingenious ways, and never once gave up. Halfway up the mountain, during a brief rest on a temporarily stable ledge, Sinray approached Elena. The alien's crystalline form seemed to glow with an inner light. "Captain Reyes," Shinra said, their voice filled with a new respect, "I believe I owe you and your species an apology." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Oh, what for?" I misjudged you," Shinra continued. "We saw your willingness to face danger as recklessness, your adaptability as a lack of proper caution. But now I see the truth. Your species doesn't ignore danger, you rise to meet it, armed with ingenuity and teamwork." Elena smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the planet's hellish environment. "Thank you, Shinra. That means a lot. But you know, we couldn't have made it this far without your help. All of you," she added, gesturing to the other observers. "This isn't just a human victory. It's proof of what we can accomplish when we work together." As if to punctuate her words, the mountain suddenly rumbled ominously. Cracks appeared in the ledge they were resting on, and a plume of noxious gas erupted from a nearby vent. "Looks like our rest break is over," Elena called out, already moving to secure their gear. "Let's show this mountain what happens when you challenge the combined ingenuity of multiple species." As they resumed their climb, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph that had nothing to do with reaching the mountain's peak. They were changing minds, breaking down barriers between species. Whatever artifact waited for them at the top, she knew they had already achieved something far more valuable. The true nature of humanity, its resilience, adaptability, and capacity for cooperation, was being revealed. And the galaxy, it seemed, would never be the same. A new understanding. The summit of Mount Impossibility loomed before them, a swirling vortex of matter that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Captain Elena Reyes and her team, along with their alien observers, clung to a precipice that hadn't existed moments before. They were battered, exhausted, and pushed to their limits. But they were also alive, and more importantly, united. "Well, folks," Elena said, her voice rough from the toxic atmosphere they'd been breathing, even through their filters. "Looks like the final challenge is upon us. Any ideas on how to cross that?" She gestured to the maelstrom that separated them from their goal. To her surprise, it was Blob, the gelatinous alien observer, who spoke up first. "Captain, if I may, my species has some experience with phase shifting. If we combine that with your molecular bonding agents, we might be able to create a stable path." Dmitri's eyes lit up. "Brilliant. We could use the sonic resonators to match the vortex's frequency, minimizing disruption." Elena nodded, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "Now that's the kind of creative thinking I like to hear. All right, team. Let's make it happen." What followed was a symphony of cooperation. Blob extended tendrils of its form, phase shifting them to match the vortex's chaos. Dmitri and Zara worked in tandem, using the sonic resonators to create pockets of stability. Dr. Chen analyzed the resulting data in real time, directing their efforts for maximum efficiency. Even Sinra contributed, using their crystalline form to refract and redirect the vortex's energy. And at the center of it all was Alina, coordinating their efforts, offering encouragement, and making split-second decisions that kept them all alive. Step by painstaking step, they forged a path through the impossible. When they finally reached the summit, collapsing onto solid ground, there was a moment of stunned silence. Then, to everyone's surprise, Shinra began to laugh, a sound like tinkling crystal that soon spread to the entire group. Humans and aliens alike found themselves caught up in the joy and disbelief of their shared accomplishment. As the laughter subsided, Alina approached the pedestal at the center of the summit. Upon it sat a small, unassuming cube, the artifact they had been sent to retrieve. "Well," she said, turning to the group, "shall we see what all this fuss was about?" With a collective nod, Alina activated the cube. A holographic message sprang to life, and the voice of the council elder filled the air. "Congratulations, brave explorers. If you are hearing this message, you have accomplished what we believed to be impossible. But more than that, you have demonstrated something far more valuable than mere survival skills." The elder's tone became thoughtful. "We designed this challenge not just to test the humans, but to force cooperation between species. We hoped to see if humanity's apparent recklessness could be tempered by the caution of others. What we witnessed instead was enlightening." The hologram shifted, showing footage of their journey, the moments of ingenuity, of selfless cooperation, of shared triumph over seemingly impossible odds. "You have shown us that what we perceived as recklessness is in fact adaptability. What we saw as disregard for danger is actually a unique ability to rise to challenges. And most importantly, you have demonstrated that these traits can bring out the best in others." The elder's voice grew solemn. "In light of this, the Council has unanimously decided to not only accept Earth's application for membership but to propose a new initiative. We believe that humanity has much to teach the rest of the galaxy about resilience, innovation, and the power of diversity. We invite you to help us establish a new galactic exploration and crisis response unit, with humans and other species working side by side to face the unknown." As the message faded, a stunned silence fell over the group. It was Shinra who broke it, their crystalline form glowing with emotion. "Captain Reyes," they said, "on behalf of all the observers, I want to thank you and your team. You've opened our eyes to a new way of seeing the universe and ourselves. Whatever comes next, know that you have allies among the stars." Alina felt a lump in her throat as she looked at the faces around her, human and alien alike, all transformed by their shared ordeal. "Thank you, Shinra. But this wasn't just our victory. We did this together, and that's how we'll face whatever challenges the galaxy throws at us next." As if on cue, the mountain beneath them shuddered. The vortex at the summit's edge began to expand, threatening to engulf them. Alina's grin was fierce and joyful as she turned to the group. "Well, folks, ready for one last impossible escape?" The answering cheer, a mix of human voices and alien sounds, was all the response she needed. As they raced down the disintegrating mountain, Alina knew that this was just the beginning. They had not only survived the Council's test, but had fundamentally changed the galaxy's understanding of humanity, and perhaps humanity's understanding of itself. Whatever challenges awaited them in the stars, they would face them together. And that, Alina realized, was the greatest victory of all. As the Intrepid broke orbit, leaving the chaos of XJ-27 behind, Alina gazed out at the starfield. The galaxy spread before them, vast and full of possibilities. And now, thanks to their ordeal, it was a galaxy that understood the true strength of humanity, not as reckless thrill-seekers, but as adaptable, resilient partners in the great cosmic adventure. With a smile, Alina gave the order, "Set a course for Earth. We got a galaxy to explore, together." The ship's engines hummed to life, propelling them towards a future brighter and more interconnected than any of them could have imagined. The age of human isolation was over. The era of galactic cooperation had begun, and it all started with a simple misunderstanding about the nature of danger.